Like, don't put all that pressure on them to feel like they got to come in and do what they did in college. Like, let them get to the league, let them adjust, let them understand what it means to be a pro. If you're going to break a record, to me, if it's legitimate, you have to break that record in the same amount of time that that player set. Well, I mean, if you want to talk about bullies, we can talk about every time Caitlin has the ball, she pushes off.
Sheryl Swoopes just got into a fight with a Fever fan. You heard that right. The WNBA legend apparently attacked someone in the stands. But that's not even the craziest part of this story. Let's break down what really happened and why it's causing such a stir in the league. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great. Thank you so much. Now, back to the video. Remember when team drama stayed behind closed doors? Well, Swoopes just blew those doors wide open. She claims the Fever locker room is in chaos, but the players are singing a different tune. Who's telling the truth, and what's really going on inside the Fever? Okay, so here's the deal. Sheryl Swoopes dropped a bomb on a podcast saying that a bunch of Indiana Fever players wanted out, like they were ready to pack their bags and bounce. Can you imagine? It's like she's painting a picture of the Fever locker room as this toxic wasteland where nobody wants to be. But hold up, because this story's got more twists than a pretzel factory. The Fever players? They're not having it. They jumped on social media faster than a fast break, shutting down Swoopes' claims left and right. It's turned into this wild he said, she said situation. Except it's more like, she said, they all said nuh-uh. One player even called Swoopes out directly, saying, "How you going to call somebody a lie when you went on the podcast and say they wanted up out of there?" Ouch. That's like catching someone in a lie and then calling them out in front of the whole class. So what's really going on here? Is Swoopes stirring the pot just to get some attention? Or is there some truth hiding behind all this drama? It's hard to say, but one thing's for sure. This isn't just about the Fever anymore.
For other players coming in, right? So people say, dang, like he or she's killing them, but you have a 25-year-old playing against a 20-year-old. Like, don't put all that pressure on them to feel like they got to come in and do what they did in college. Like, let them get to the league, let them adjust, let them understand what it means to be a pro.
This is about the whole WNBA. Think about it. When a legend like Swoopes starts throwing around accusations like this, it doesn't just affect one team. It makes people wonder what's going on in other locker rooms. Are there more unhappy players out there? Is there drama we don't know about? And let's talk about the fans for a second. How are they supposed to feel when they hear stuff like this? One minute they're cheering for their team, the next they're wondering if half the players want to jump ship. It's enough to give you whiplash. But here's where it gets really interesting. The way the Fever players responded, that unity, it might actually end up making them stronger. Sometimes when people try to tear you down, it just brings you closer together. So maybe, just maybe, Swoopes' comments will backfire and turn the Fever into an even tighter squad.
But their ability to really gel together and their chemistry right now is like they look like they've been playing together for years. If you're going to break a record, to me, if it's legitimate, you have to break that record in the same amount of time that that player set. When you look at Caitlin, she went from playing in college, playing in the Final Four, going to the draft, going to training camp, season starts, and the Fever are playing, I don't know how many games they played just in a row.
Forget the Fever drama for a second. Let's talk about Caitlin Clark. She lit up the court all season, but when the MVP rankings came out, 4th place. That's right, 4th. What's going on here? You know how everyone was hyped about Caitlin Clark's rookie season? Well, the MVP rankings just dropped, and they're stirring up some serious controversy. Clark, the rookie sensation who had fans and analysts buzzing all year, landed in 4th place. Yeah, you heard that right, 4th. Now, before we dive into the details, let's rewind a bit. Clark came into the WNBA like a tornado, breaking records left and right. She was dishing out assists like they were going out of style, draining threes from another zip code, and grabbing rebounds like she had magnets for hands. Everyone was talking about her like she was the second coming of basketball Jesus. But here's where things get wild. When the MVP votes were tallied up, Clark found herself looking up at 3 other players. A'ja Wilson took the crown, and it wasn't even close. She snagged all 67 votes. That's a clean sweep, folks. No sharing, no split decision. Just Wilson, standing alone at the top. So what happened? How did Clark, who had everyone from casual fans to hardcore analysts singing her praises, end up fourth? It's like showing up to prom in a designer gown and still not making the royal court. Something doesn't add up, right? Here's the thing, Clark's stats were no joke. She was putting up numbers that had people double-checking the box scores to make sure they weren't seeing things. But in the WNBA, sometimes it's not just about the numbers, it's about impact, about changing the game, about making your team better. But let's be real for a second, fourth place in the MVP race as a rookie? That's still pretty darn impressive. It's like getting an A on your first college exam when you're still trying to figure out where all your classes are. Clark didn't just show up, she made noise, and the league heard her. Now, some fans are up in arms. They're saying Clark got robbed, that the voters didn't watch the games, that it's all politics. But hold up, before we grab our pitchforks and start marching, let's think about this. Maybe, just maybe, this is exactly what Clark needs. Imagine being Caitlin Clark right now. You've had an insane rookie season, better than almost anyone could have predicted. You're the talk of the league, the new face of women's basketball, and then bam, fourth place. That's gotta light a fire under you, right? This could be the fuel that turns Clark from a rookie sensation into a full-blown superstar. You know those movies where the underdog trains all night, running upstairs and punching slabs of meat? This is Clark's Rocky moment. She's got something to prove now. And let's not forget, Clark's still new to this league. She's got years ahead of her to climb that MVP ladder.
Well, I mean, if you want to talk about bullies, we can talk about every time Caitlin has the ball, she pushes off. My statement was, I don't think either of them are going to come into the league and dominate immediately, meaning what they did in college.
Over all of the players in the W.
And what I wasn't clear of is that for whatever reason, there's this narrative that I hate Caitlin Clark.
This fourth place finish? It's just the beginning. It's like she's revving her engine at the starting line and the race hasn't even begun. But here's where it gets really interesting. Clark and the Fever are heading into a playoff game against the Connecticut Sun. Now that these MVP rankings are out, all eyes are going to be on Clark. How's she going to respond? Is she going to come out guns blazing, ready to show everyone why she deserved to be higher in those rankings? Or is the pressure going to get to her? You thought the MVP drama was wild. Buckle up, because the Rookie of the Year award is about to blow your mind. Everyone's been talking about Caitlin Clark like she's a lock for the award, right? I mean, come on. She's been breaking records left and right, making plays that have even the veterans shaking their heads in disbelief. But here's the kicker. There's whispers going around that it might not be the slam dunk we all expected. I know, it sounds crazy. Clark's been lighting up the court all season, putting up numbers that make you wonder if the scorekeepers are using a calculator. But get this, some folks are saying her Rookie of the Year award might not be unanimous. Can you believe that? It's like saying water might not be wet. So what's the deal? Are there some secret rookie superstars we don't know about? Nah, it's not that simple. See, there's this whole thing about perceived bias against Clark. Some fans are saying there's a narrative out there trying to downplay her achievements. It's like they're scared she's making the other rookies look bad or something. Let's talk about Angel Reese for a second. She's been putting up some solid numbers too, no doubt. But here's where it gets spicy. Some people are arguing that Clark's achievements are way more significant, especially when you consider Reese's injury and how she performed after coming back. It's like comparing apples and oranges, except the apples are on fire and the oranges are juggling chainsaws. Now you might be thinking, who cares about one award? It's just a trophy, right? Wrong. This isn't just about a piece of metal with a name on it. This is about how players feel valued in the league. Imagine busting your butt all season, breaking records, becoming the face of the league, and then finding out some people don't think you deserve the award that's basically got your name written all over it. That's gotta mess with your head, right? And it's not just about Clark. This whole situation is shining a light on the challenges female athletes face when it comes to getting recognition. It's like they have to work twice as hard just to get half the respect. That's not cool, and it's definitely not fair. Here's a quote that's been making the rounds. I gotta be honest with you guys. There's no way in hell Caitlin Clark Rookie of the Year award is not unanimous. End of the day, all injuries was doing was getting their own damn rebounds. Ouch, that's some spicy take right there. But here's the thing, all this uncertainty, it's creating tension, and not just for Clark, but for fans too. People are getting frustrated, wondering what a player has to do to get some respect around here. It's like the voting process is this big mystery, and everyone's trying to crack the code. So what does this mean for the future of the WNBA? Are we going to see more players feeling underappreciated? Are fans going to start losing faith in the award system? These are big questions, and they don't have easy answers.